All right. Welcome, Planner Girls. I only opened this up you guys, I want you to know, like, I did not open this up to anyone else. It literally was this, like, we need to come together as Planet Girls. We need to, like, this is a perfect time. We're about to step into Q4. And this would be a great time to not only make sure we're using the planner, which we'll talk some more about that, but to actually do something that's going to help move the needle over the next. Oh, a new fireplace. That's fun. Yeah, especially with winter coming, right? Right now, I don't want a fireplace. It's kind of warm, but anyway, so yeah, like I am so excited that you guys are here and that you are saying yes to being intentional with your time, to redeeming your time, right? Everything around here is built around Ephesians 5:15 through 16, which says, maybe you can say it on repeat with me, look carefully how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, redeeming the time because these are difficult days. Amen to some difficult days, right? Yeah, right. All right. So, congratulations, because the fact that you're here, whether you're live or whether you're listening to the replay, hello, all of my replay friends. I know that, like I literally was just telling the girls before we hit record, I came up with this idea last week and was just like, I'm a take action girl. So just send out the email and like, let's do this. So you maybe already had stuff scheduled that you couldn't be on live, but that's okay. You are taking the time to do what most people don't or won't. You know what that is? To pause, to prioritize, and to plan. Because most people are running around right now, busy and distracted. Ah, it's fall. Ah, it's almost the holidays. Ah, it's, almost the end of the year. Can anyone relate? Feeling, even though you're here, you may be like, yeah, Alyssa, that's like what I am like a lot of times too, right? Like, and here's what often happens. We're at a very unique time in the year where a lot of people started the year strong, right? Whether you picked up the planner at the end of last year when it first came out, or beginning of this year, or whether you just got this a week ago, it doesn't really matter. That's why it's undated, right? Like, but so many of us start the year or start, working on the planner like this with big plans, right? Fresh motivation, right? But then what? Life happens. Maybe like a lot of us are in the season of midlife, and I'm talking to so many women who like a parent's health is needing their time and attention, right? Or a teen that you're getting ready to launch, or a daughter you're getting ready to marry, or someone that's having a baby. Like it's just these launching kids, right? Still pull our attention. Then we've got like at church, maybe you've said yes to something and then it turns into three yeses and suddenly your calendar is overflowing, right? And then hello, menopause brain fog. Anyone? Like that makes things a little, kind of off sometimes. And we always have this like, where's my phone? This ping of notifications. I call them the ring dings pings. My notifications are turned off right now, so I'm not going to focus on that. But right? And then there's this like never-ending pile of to-do lists, and laundry and all the things that are waiting for us. You have a lot on your plate. You do, right? And so it's no wonder that oftentimes our best goals or intentions get pushed off to the side. You just found your planner that you bought last year. Okay, good. Yes, anytime is a good time to restart it, right? Right? Because it's so easy for things to just kind of get put off and we're just in survival mode, right? And it feels like there's not time for it all because there's always something pulling on our time. Our to-do list is never done, right? Hello, tyranny, the urgent, and all those things that feel really important in the moment. And then we're stuck in the weeds, checking boxes and just trying to survive the day or the week or the month. And then before you know it, another year went by, and you're not sure if you've gone much of anywhere, let alone actually move towards what God has called you to do in your life and business. Okay, so if you're finding any of that to be relatable, I just want to say, like, it's not your fault. I was there too. And the time management advice we've been given did not help, right? Because those time blocks are really hard to keep up with. Or let's be honest, I literally had somebody message me this the other day. She goes, Lissa, before I learned your time zone method, I literally would set my time blocks up and then I would just like kick the can down the road all day and not get around to them anyway. So why was I even wasting my time to put them in my planner? Who can relate, right? I sent her a message today. I'm like, I'm going to share your story. I won't say your name, but I'm sharing your story today. Or like that to-do list that just keeps growing, right? And then those goals you set back in the new year, or maybe like when the kids went back to school, or like it finally was Labor Day, and you're like, okay, it's time to get serious. It's time to get back to this, right? And already just what, 2 weeks later, we're like, all those things are out of view, right? And we're just back into going from one day to the next, chasing the time we don't think we have. Like, this is where so many people live. And this is where I was too. And I'm not going to go into my whole story right now, but I always was chasing my not enoughness. My time was not enough. My doing was not enough. I was not enough. Can you relate to the slippery slope? And really, it was exhausting and fruitless. And I was working all the time. Like I was never not doing something, but I wasn't really getting anywhere. Has anyone been there? Right? Like you just feel like I'm busy, I'm working, I'm doing, and you're just going to bed at night and like, I don't even know what happened today. What did I even get done? Where did this even move the needle anyway? Right? And here's where, yeah, performance anxiety for sure. I'm a big performer and I've got to do it and do it right and, check every box and, all of that. Until God got my attention and showed me my busyness was not just a disordered calendar. This is in your front of your planner. It's a disordered heart. That's where the problem lies because we are busy chasing a lot of lesser things. All the while, we're missing out on the very things that God has gifted us and trusted to us a relationship with Him, our family and friendships, work, our resources, our wellness, our passions, our home, our time, right? And so Redeem Her Time was literally born in the pew. After I had asked yet another friend, how's life this week? And you know what she said? The B word. Busy. I know you're like, is Lisa really gonna swear? No. This is like, yeah, the word that we don't want it like who wants like the end of your life? People be like, oh yeah, Lisa, Donita, Tracy, Debbie, she was just busy. Like, I don't want that to be said of me at my funeral. I don't want that to be what I'm known for. And yet that's how so many of us live. It was literally in the pew that morning. Our pastor was preaching in Ephesians. All of a sudden I was like, oh, Ephesians 5, redeem the time, right? This is where this is busy is not what God has for us, right? The enemy would love to keep us busy, right? Because when he keeps us busy, what happens? We're distracted, right? We're no threat to him. We're no use to the kingdom. But here's the thing. Every single person who's listening to this, whether live or on the replay, I refuse to use that word anymore. Good. You have been entrusted. I know you have kingdom work. I know each one of you personally, and I know things about your business, and I know things about your life, and I know the desires that you have to please the Lord. And yet we still get sucked in, just like the rest of the world, to this busyness and this just our time looking no different than anyone else. Right. And so we do not want to just turn the page on another month or another quarter or another year. We want to make sure that our time is producing ultimately glory to Him. Right. And here's the thing, time is not the obstacle. Say it with me. Time is not the obstacle. Time is the opportunity. It is literally the gift that God puts in your hands every day, 24 hours, to do that thing that He's called you to. And so we have to start seeing our time as an opportunity, not as an obstacle. And this is why I created the planner. Do you have your planner? This way to slow down and quiet the noise and literally get your hands on your time. How many people you depend on the calendar on here and you don't really have a handle on time when you're just scrolling through your digital calendar. I do teach a hybrid approach. If you need to be communicating with clients or a team or even sometimes your family, that kind of calendar can be helpful for those things. But there's something about what we're going to do today that like your pencil, hope you have something to write with, connects your hand, your head, and your heart. And when you do this, when you like actually do what's in here and what's in the digital course that walks you through how to do this, have you gone to the digital course? Did you know I actually walk you through how to use each and every section in here? You create what I call the intentional year. So that this actually becomes a time capsule, right? Because we're keeping our CEO praise reports throughout the year, right? We're able to see where our time actually went. So you don't get to the end of the year and go, where did the time go? When everybody else is saying that in December, I want you to be like, I know exactly where my time went. Let me pull up my Redeem Her Time planner and I'll tell you exactly where it went and exactly what God did. Like, how amazing would that feel, right? This is also why I created this undated, because just like Debbie shared, I want you to be able to start or restart no matter what the calendar says and not feel behind. How many of you have bought a planner in the past and like you started with it and then you kind of lost track of it and then like you found it later in the year and then like you felt really guilty or bad about all those blank pages because they had dates on them and so you're like, oh well, I guess it's September, I'll just jump in here a million times. Yeah, right? Like no. So even if this thing has been collecting dust today, it's going to get dusted off. So dust it off, right? We're going to take a picture here in a minute. So I want it nice and shiny. I don't want it dusty, right? But no more feeling guilty or behind about time you wasted. We can't do anything about time in the past, right? This is also why this planner is seasonal, because I don't just want us in survival mode, just getting through a day, a week, a month. We start with a bigger 12-month vision where we're going, and then we break it down to these 12-week focuses where I'm focusing right now, right? And I got this message the other day. I want to read this to you from one of our planner girls. Her name is Carolyn, and I've shared her story before. But she told me this is the first planner in 20 years that she's actually going to have fully used and stayed consistent with. Yeah, there is a dust bag for it, although mine never gets to the point where it gets back in the dust bag, at least just because I'm always using it. But anyway, here's what she sent me the other day. I was like, what do you think was the difference? She said, it's the planner that's helping to change my approach. And she goes, my favorite part of any planner is the setting it up at the beginning. But then my ADHD kicks in and I just get bored with filling it out each week. But in your planner, the monthly and quarterly pages give me that new planner rush on a regular basis that keeps me going. I hope there will be more this fall when I need my next one. So that's what we're doing right now, right? Is like getting ready for quarter 4 and getting this new planner rush again, right? We need these like stopping points throughout the year because otherwise we just get distracted. Yeah, you do have less space, Emmy, where you live right now, so I can see why you want that, right? So all this is to say, this is an invitation, whether this thing's been collecting dust in your dust bag or not, or whether you've been using it every single day since you got it, like this is us pausing to get our hands on time, right? And this is, I hope you're seeing, more than just planner, right? This actually gets to the root of the problem, that heart problem, right? And I'm going to real quickly just walk you through the 3 heart shifts as a CEO, a Christ empowered operator of the life and business God has called you to, my goal is to help you make. Number one, your belief from I don't have enough time to I have more than enough time for what I'm called to. And that's why you hear me say over and over, the bottom of every email, the end of every podcast, you have time. It's on the sign behind me, right? Like I have to hear it, right? You have to change your belief and stop saying, I don't have time. Yes, you do, right? Number 2 is your role. You're not called to manage it. You are not called to keep it contained or under control. Now, is there an element of that? Yes, but there's no growth in that, right? If you put your plant inside, like inside of a container, it's only going to grow so far and then it's just going to like stop, right? This is what so many people do. We're trying to keep our time contained and controlled. That's managing. Instead, God called us to steward it, which means we understand it doesn't even belong to us in the first place. The CEOs and I read Kingdom Stewardship in quarter 2. That was a really good book to think about how am I approaching my time, my talents, and my treasures as I'm not the owner. He is. And the reason it's been given to me to steward is to expand it for his kingdom, right? And then number 3 is our focus. Stopping running around like the rest of the world saying, what time is it? And then being like a crazy girl with your chicken like your head cut, chicken with your head cut off, right? Trying to catch up or feeling like you're behind or whatever. But asking the question, who knows it? Drop it in the chat if you know the question I'm about to tell you. What is it time for? There it is. I love it, right? What is it time for? Right? That gets us slowed down to the presence and the purpose of our time. So, this thing that you have here is gold, right? This is not like what you're going to get at Target because here's the thing. They're not going to offer a workshop, right? They're not going to get into your heart, right? We're actually doing something different. So, what I would love to do before we actually open this thing is to take a picture. So, if you're willing, if you're off camera right now, if you'd be willing to turn it on and get your planner up, I don't know if I'm going to be able to take a picture and do that at the same time. I'll kind of like go like that. I'm going to take like a screenshot of us. So if you're able to turn on your camera and have your planner there, amazing. And if not, it's okay. Yay. It's so fun to see your faces. I love it. Um, so let me get that thing ready and smile. All right. Perfect. Awesome. Thanks, you guys. I'm like, I got to get this, right? Okay. So no more guilt about what you have or haven't done with this. Today's a new day, right? And I want to encourage you, if you haven't jumped into the digital course, that is linked in the planner everywhere and the Planner Girls community, right? This is where I want you to know you're not alone. And today, I'm going to give you guys a very special opportunity. And I feel like because you already have a planner, like I'm supposed to like do this in a different way than I even thought I was going to really help you to take what we're about to do today and really see it happen over the next quarter, right? To really make this an incredible quarter. And so if you're not able to stay all the way to the end, make sure you go back and you watch the replay because I'm going to share with you about CEO focus. And God literally minutes ago, which is why I didn't realize what time it was and I still hadn't eaten lunch yet. Like God was like, for your planner girls, you're gonna do this for them. And I was like, okay, let me go in the back end and quick make some changes that I could do that for you. So you're gonna want to make sure you hang on until the end so you can find out about how do we really make the most of the time we're about to spend together today. But what I want to do, if it's okay with you guys, is pray, and then we'll actually jump into our planner. Okay. Lord, we don't want to step into planning anything without acknowledging you. And so we thank you for inviting us into a relationship with you. We thank you for giving us 24 hours today and yesterday And tomorrow, Lord, we want to be wise stewards. We want to, as Moses, have the prayer like, Lord, teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom, that we would use our time in a way that produces fruit so that others know that we are your disciples. And then it gives glory to you and builds your kingdom. And God, we confess we're so easily distracted and we can easily fall back into busyness. And so I just pray that through your spirit and through tools like this and through reminders in scripture that you will just yeah bring us back to this place of seeing our time as this gift from you and this opportunity to do what you have called us to. And so God, I thank you for each person who's on here live or who's watching the replay today. Lord, I pray that you will just be at work in her heart and mind as she goes through this process and as she finishes out this year. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Okay. So, what I want you to do is take your planner and turn to your next seasonal reset. Now, depending on when you picked up the planner, you may be like, if you started right, at the new year, then you may be like me, you're already in season four. Some of you picked up the planner in November, and so you might have started that first season even before the beginning of the year. I wanted to like, start clean, I guess. So thank you, Melanie. So anyway, I want you to turn to your next seasonal reset. You can tell where they are because the colors of the tabs change. I did that on purpose because I would need to see them. I do recognize, and I'm curious if you guys are having this experience. Maybe it's because I use my planner so much, but the months have kind of like worn off. Are you guys having that experience on your tabs? Like, did the month, like the lettering wear off on yours, or is it just me? Drop in the chat if it's wearing off for you. And when I do a new printing, I will see if I can do something to fix that. Here's the thing. I didn't want to have the tabs pre-printed because then it's not undated and then you can't pick it up anytime. So it was kind of like one of those things that like I knew that I might be making a sacrifice. So anyway, just noticing that I could barely read October, November, December, and I haven't even gotten there yet, but it's okay. It still works. Okay, so turn to your next seasonal reset. Just realized you never put the months on. Well, now you can. You should have a sticker sheet in there that has the months. Okay, so it should look something like this. In fact, I'm going to be doing this in real time with you guys today. So it should see season one, two, three, or four. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to pause. How many of us just jump into the next thing, right? We're always just jumping to the next thing, myself included. That's why I'm doing this, is I need this, right? So we are going to stop and do a little reset. Okay. And there are three questions here. Number one, my focus. What am I making time for? Like, what is it that really matters as I'm stepping into a new season? What do I want my focus to be? Number two, my release. What am I letting go? Maybe it's something in the past, last week, last month, last quarter, over the past year. Or maybe it's something that like you're just letting go as you step into a new season of just like, I'm not going to keep, like feeling like I have to do this thing. Right. So it could be something negative you're wanting to let go, or it could be a good thing that just, you know what, in this next season, I'm letting this go, intentionally to be able to move forward. And then the last one is my prayer. What am I trusting God for? Okay, so I'm going to give us a couple of minutes. I would play music, but the last time I tried to do that, it was sounded really wonky because I think our connection here at the Figgy Farm is not strong enough to like hear the music clearly. So I decided not to do music today. But anyway, I may do some research and see if I can figure that out. But I'll give us like probably about 4 or 5 minutes to kind of think through these questions. And no, don't rush. If you only get to question one, that's okay. You can always come back and finish the other ones. But I don't rush through the process either. Okay. And if you have questions at all as we're going, drop them down. If you just got your planner, I would make this season one. Yeah, Tracy, great question. So that's why I said turn to whatever your next season, reset is. So in your case, it would be season one. Mhm. And just a note, even though every single person here I know also has a business, there are life things that can and should be going in here as well. Okay. So this is not just like it can be if you want to have more of a business focus, but feel free to make life things in here as well. Just as a note, you don't have to wait till right in between a quarter or in between a season where you stop and ask questions like this. These are questions you could literally ask every day, right? Or every week as you're doing your weekly planning. At the end of each month, there are some reflection questions. There's a CEO reflection page right before that, across from the CEO praise report, right? Which are some great, again, reflection questions to be looking at, right? And so oftentimes, if we've done that throughout the year, then as we come to these quarterly resets, it will really help us kind of see some things that we need to see as we look back and as we look ahead. So, okay, we're going to move on to our heart check. And I actually was just doing a training on this the other day. The steer belief map, I think, is just as valuable as this entire planner is with all the weeks and months and quarters in here. Because if and until we have the right belief and thinking about our time and about what we're called to and all the things, right? Like the tools aren't going to be any different. They're not really going to work, right? Or they're not really going to produce the fruit, the abundant fruit, the 30, 60, 100-fold fruit, if we are continuing to like let our heart be steered in the wrong direction. So this is a really great practice to, again, not only do, and I have it in the planner on a seasonal basis. I wish I could have put it in here daily, but if you haven't already gotten my CEO like daily meeting with God template, drop template in the chat. That's how I'll remember what it was. And I will make sure that you have the PDF for it because there's a steer belief map on there. And this is what I use in my meeting with the Lord each morning. So that way it prompts me to do this. So if you're looking for something that would help you to do that, drop that in the chat. Or if you're listening to the replay, just make sure you respond to wherever you're watching this replay. Okay. So S is our situation. It's always neutral. Okay. Something that we're facing. T is our thought. Usually those thoughts are on repeat. What am I believing? E is our emotion. What am I feeling? The next E is our execution. What am I doing or not doing? And R is our results. What am I experiencing? So let me walk you through like an example, and then I'm gonna let you do your own because I don't want to just put words in your mouth. But here's one thing that I'm hearing, especially this time of year. Lissa, I'm behind. Okay, so if that's what you were saying, right, here's where I would go, okay, that's the thought I'm telling myself. So that would be my T, I am behind. And then, so you might start with like, I'm recognizing the thought and you start there. Or maybe some people recognize the feeling. I had somebody message me this morning and she's like, I just was really anxious yesterday. And she shared about what it was. And, so it was the feeling that stood out to her first. Maybe you're noticing that you're doing or not doing things you usually do or you should be doing. Maybe it's the execution that you're noticing, or maybe it's the result you're noticing, and then you work your way backwards. So I want you to say, like, you don't have to start at the top. Start with what you notice. So in this example, I'm going to say I am behind as my T. Okay. In the situation of most women that I'm talking to are as business owners, that means that they are behind on their revenue goals for the year. That's for what a lot of them are. Okay. So not hit revenue goals. Now, again, here's where you have to be really careful. Your situation is always neutral, right? If I just look at the numbers and I say my goal was 50,000 and I'm at 10,000, then I can very objectively say I have not hit my revenue goals, right? So don't make it mean something it isn't. Just the facts, ma'am. Okay. I haven't hit my revenue goals, but my thought is what gives it meaning. I'm behind. Now, what emotion does that lead to? Uh, doubt. Can I really do this? Like fear. Maybe like this is never going to happen. Some people are telling me, I've heard people say, like, I might have to go get a job. I don't want to have to do that, but if I can't make this work, then I might have to do something else. It could be anxiety, where you're always worrying about it. It could be overwhelm. There's so many feelings it could be. So write down like maybe 1 to 3 feelings. And then execution. So now here's where I go, okay, when I'm feeling this way, because I'm behind, because I'm telling myself I'm behind because I haven't hit my revenue goals, what am I doing or not doing? In this case, I found women go in one of two directions, either hamster wheel, I'm just running faster, trying to produce more results, but really getting nowhere, or I'm like, forget it, and I'm off in the garden, or I'm off doing something else because it just feels better or easier, right? So execution can go either way. And then what's my result? I'm behind my revenue goals. And notice the result is always a reflection of the thought, right? I am behind is exactly what's happening. I am not, in that place. But we don't stay there. So the next thing we do is we grab truth. What does God say is true? That could be a scripture, a biblical principle, a characteristic of him, something you've seen him do in your life before, something you've seen him do in your business before. Like you need some kind of truth to like ground yourself in. So we're not like basing everything off how I feel and what I'm thinking and what I'm seeing, right? So say for example, in this one, it could be all kinds of things. It could be, just, God is my supplier and my multiplier from 2 Corinthians 9. Like, okay, yep, I'm not there, but guess what? He's been taking care of my needs all year long, and he's the one who's going to bring the multiplication, right? So just off that alone, then we do the steer again. And the S is always the same. Same situation. You're not allowed to change it. So yes, I haven't hit my revenue goals for 2025. If that's what I wrote down, that's where I am. What's my new thought based on that truth? Like, wow, like God is providing all along, right? I'm trusting that as I do my part, He's bringing the growth. Like, whatever that thought is, right? Then what's the new emotion? Then what's the new execution? Or what things are you not executing or doing anymore? You're not procrastinating, you're not pushing this off, you're not whatever, right? And what's the new result going to be? See how it like steers it in a whole different direction? So, what I want you to do is, I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes. I want you to work through something that's like in real life for you. And you may have a couple different thoughts or feelings or, results or things like that that you could do. So just pick one. Work through the top half of what am I currently thinking, feeling, doing, and seeing, and then grab some truth and then rework it. And then the last question at the bottom is, okay, so how am I going to apply this now to the situation? Right? Because nothing changed in my example about whatever those results were. It is what they are, right? So, but how am I going to apply what that truth is and how that's steering me in the right direction to my situation? Does that make sense? Any questions on how to do that? All right, go ahead and take a few minutes to work through that. And I just dropped the URL in the chat for those of you who wanted that template. Just go ahead and click on it, put your email address in, and it should be in your inbox before we're done. Don't get distracted and go doing it now. I mean, you can sign up for it now, but anyway, redeemhertime.com/meeting for those of you who are listening and didn't see it. So you guys know this is one of those practices like you could literally take 30 minutes and work through, or you can take 5 minutes and work through. So maybe all you have is a napkin at a coffee shop or a post-it. Like you could literally just write steer, truth, steer on there. You could even just go through it in your head if you're driving and you're noticing these things come up. So, but of course, if you have your planner, you can grab it here. You're struggling with God's truth about emotions. What is the situation, or the belief that you're working on, Donita? Do you mind sharing? Very similar to what I was explaining. Okay. Yeah. So really it's really not well, I mean, it can be God's truth about my emotion, right? But it's really like as I look at this situation, right? What is God's truth? He is the provider. He is the multiplier. Like he is the one who establishes our plans. He's the one that we really need. He is all that we need. Like there's so many just different things that we can pull out that are going to get us out of that thought pattern of I'm putting all of my value, so maybe if it's like my value is being based in, what my results are or lack thereof, or my joy, the joy of the Lord is my strength, right? Like maybe it's just that, so I would kind of just kind of think about like, maybe what's the underlying root of this for me. And yeah, we're just wanting to like pattern interrupt, say, but what does God say is true? Whether it's what he says is true about you or about him or about the situation or about what really matters. Is that helpful? And it's okay if something doesn't like come right in real time and we're doing this in real time. So it may be that like the Lord brings something, like later on today. And you're like, okay, maybe that's the truth I need to really hold on to. And that's what's going to shift things for me. Does anyone else want to share that? Like, this is so important, right? Before we get into priorities and before we even get into planning and stuff like that, like this right here, this pausing is so important. Does anyone either want to who's on live either want to share something like you're working on? Yeah, hope, right? Yeah, yeah. Like David often looked around and was like despairing of all the things, and yet, right, my hope is in you, right? So maybe that's what it is like, find a psalm, right? Find one of those verses where he's actually like all this but, right? It's always that but word, right? Like that kind of is showing that transition in his heart. So if anybody else wants to, you can unmute, you can drop it in the chat, either like, this is what I'm working on, or this is, wow, like this is how this is helping me to steer in a different direction. This is like the benefit that I'm already seeing or experiencing because of doing this. So either way, whether you want help with what you're working on or like you're like, I'm already seeing how this could be something really helpful. Is there anyone who wants to unmute and share or drop in the chat either way?
I'll share what came up for me just now. When I look at situation under God's truth, is um, that what I'm facing is an opportunity to surrender and to
Mm.
trust God.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And that's probably is actually the thought because the situation itself is going to be the same as it was from the top one. So whatever that situation was that you're surrendering, we keep the situations are the same. Now your thought is, here's an opportunity to surrender, right? Like that's where now the thought, right, is what I'm thinking and believing is what's going to give meaning to that situation. Because in most cases, the situation didn't change in an instant. I mean, it would be really nice if you guys like got off this workshop and there were 100 people in your inbox saying, "How do I work with you?" Right? And that was the problem. But that's probably not going to happen. And yet, right, like we can view that situation in a whole different way. You're right when we surrender. I love it. Yeah, feeling overwhelmed because of the long list of things to do, which makes me feel overwhelmed. So I think that slowing down to be more intentional is hard because I feel like there isn't enough time, but I know I will not only feel more at peace, but also probably get more accomplished. Amen. How many of us just keep going and doing, right? And then we end up just, I mean, again, what do we even do, right? We're busy all day long. And if we feel like there's a lot, right, there is power in what I call the CEO pause, pausing to say what really matters. What do I really need to give my time and attention to? What has God called me to? What can I just let go of or what's not for now? Like there, that's really powerful because you can't do it all. There's the hard truth. You can't do it all and you shouldn't, right? So it's that discerning about what that looks like. All right, let's turn the page. Go ahead, Debbie.
So I kind of struggled with this a little bit because I've really been trying to stay on the God's truth and not how I really feel. But
Sure.
then I realized that there's those undertow things that are still there, those negative feelings of, yes, I believe that God's in control. I believe that, He's directing my path and all the things
But
we've been. There's, when I come down to my beliefs inside, I feel like there's always too much to do. What's wrong with me that I can't make this change that I want to make? Makes you feel overwhelmed, like I'm going in circles. And the truth to going in circles is that God promises He will direct our path.
Mhm.
And just the lack of change and the roller coaster, stuff
Yeah.
that, reminds me that my feelings and emotions lie to me. And I have to go back to God's truth and know what's really true and kind of get off of that, roller coaster, just like David did in the book of Psalms over and over. He got discouraged, but he knew where his source of strength was. So, um, didn't really realize a lot of those
Yeah.
undertow still there. I thought I had overcome a lot of them, but when
Sure.
we talked about it, they're still there. They're still telling me, you don't have enough time. You have too much to do. You can't get this all done, but it's not in my strength. So
Amen. Yes,
help.
right. Yeah, you're getting a couple of shout outs in the chat. Love the term undertow. And other people saying, yes, I feel that too. That's why this is so helpful because we can say, we can say things with our mouth, right? But we have to go, but what's going on up here? And that doesn't mean that I don't really mean what I say, right? Like, it doesn't really mean that I don't believe that God is who he says he is and whatever that is, right? But here's where we have to take those thoughts captive, right? And again, here's where the enemy can keep us, stuck and we don't even realize it because our mouth is saying one thing, but our head is saying something else. And it has you could just see right now when we mapped it out exactly what it does. It steers us in the wrong direction, does not steer us toward the results that we really desire, right? So, yeah, okay. That's why this is important. That's why I recommend doing this every single day, at least for like the next couple of weeks or the next month. I mean, what if you did this for the next quarter? Every day, you just do steer belief map in your quiet time. Like that right there may be like the very thing you need, Debbie, that's going to help turn the corner and some of the change. Because yes, I can give you all the amazing tools and all the systems and all the the planner and all that, but if you are picking those up and you still have this stuff going in your head, right? So anyway, that's my challenge to you guys. All right. So we turn the page. We're on this page that has a circle, and this is called our With God vision board. And so I'm going to give you just a few minutes to just kind of dream on paper. What are your desires in this next season? And I put all 8 areas of attention on here. So faith walk, family, friendship, service, which involves your work or ministry, stewardship, wellness, passions, and dwelling. In the middle, I that's where you write in the dates. So for example, I'm doing this for October through December, so I'm going to write October through December. And then take a few minutes and like if there are words or phrases or thoughts or ideas that like pop up that you're like, I really want this to be a part of this next season. Or this is something, that I want to do, or this is something that I want to remember, or, it could be super, super like changing the world. It could just be really, really insignificant. I want to make sure I get out and see some fall color, or, there's all kinds of things that it could be. So we're just gonna take a few minutes to just kind of look ahead and envision as we think about these different areas, what we want this next season to hold. Make sense? Any questions on what we're doing on this page? If so, just shout out at me. Okay, Debbie's asking what's the difference in stewardship and service. Great question. Service is like the work you do. So if you have a job, a business, maybe even caretaking, that kind of thing. And stewardship would be more around resources. So primarily like financial resources, obviously time fits into that category. There could also be like talents and things like that, like just other resources that you have. Is that helpful? All right, you got some things down? Again, you're going to think of things when you don't have your planner in front of you. You may be in the shower later. You may be on a walk. You may be driving or whatever. So, like, as those things come, this is a place to dump that stuff, right? We're just trying to create this like vision instead of just being in like, what's the next thing in front of me I have to do? Because we're never going to get to the things that really matter if we're just in survival mode, if we're just reacting all day long. That's what this process is about, is us creating our capacity by design, which is a concept that I teach inside my programs that, yeah, when we let all just the random things of life, the Skittles fill our time, guess what? There isn't time for these things. But when we put these oranges in first, then it's amazing how there's still room for those and all those Skittles that fill around it. Okay, on the next page, it's our with God priorities, right? So here's where we are going to get really specific about the one thing in each area. So I call this the top eight because there are eight categories. The one thing in each area that is a priority in this next season. That doesn't mean you're not doing anything else in that area, but what's the one thing that's going to keep this area balanced and growing? Now, if you did the beginning part of the planner, we way back in the very, very, very beginning before season one, I took you through an exercise where you came up with It's called With God Life Intention. We came up with three sticky goals for each one. So that could be a good resource to go back to and look if you did that. If you didn't, it's okay. You're not behind. We're just going to identify one tangible, not just I'm going to eat healthier, like I'm going to have dinner at 6 because maybe, and then the kitchen is closed because maybe you've been snacking, in the evenings, or maybe it's, I'm going to, tithe, on the 7th and the 21st, but I want to get really specific so we can actually like see when these things are happening because otherwise these areas, like things the wheels start falling off the bus, right? Or it starts putting pressure on another area. So what's the one thing in each area that is a priority? Make it as tangible as you can to keep that area balanced or growing. Some things may need more time and attention in this season than others, but we don't want to neglect any of them because otherwise they will demand your time and attention. Any questions around what we're doing on this one? I intentionally made those boxes small. I want you to write one thing. Narelle, I'm curious what you mean by maintenance goals. Maintenance in what?
Um, for me, like if I establish a good routine, so it was a goal, I've sort of achieved that goal, but it's not something I want to tick and flick. I want to actually keep it up.
Sure. Yeah. 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 And that's
But otherwise, I'd be only putting maintenance goals in here, and then I'm not actually progressing further.
sure. Sure. Yeah. The goal is that when I create something into a routine, so that it just becomes a part of what I do, and that's my normal, you're right. And then we can like say, okay, what's the thing that's going to grow me? And you might find that there are some areas that right now, all I really maybe really need to do is be in that maintenance place. Like be in that balance place, right? Like right now, this feels good and I'm being consistent with this, and that's where I need to be right now. But there may be an area or two or three or four in here that you're feeling, like led to like that next level of growth. So it's okay if there's a mixture of them. Because you're right, we could go through and come up with a maintenance goal for each one and then a growth goal for each one. So that would be an option. Or just saying, like, what does this need in this season? Like, what do I really sense that God is, calling me to do? in this
It
season.
was more about not cheating and only having maintenance goals.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I'm so glad you noticed that, right? So then you can go back and say, okay, so if these things are already happening, then, maybe you do pick a couple of areas where you're going to set a next level growth goal. And I would, recommend maybe not doing all 8 areas because we don't want to feel like sometimes we bite off too much and then we end up, not doing anything or not getting very far. So maybe pick, 1, 2, or 3 areas that really are kind of standing out for next level stuff. But yeah, thanks for pointing that out. I love it. Here's where I'm going to encourage you. If there's one on here that's like, if I could, really make this happen, this would be amazing. If I could really like, if this was what I was doing, like, oh my goodness, drop that in the chat. I would love to hear or see what it is that, you would love to do. It can be in any of these areas. They all matter. And they're all going to, be different for each one of us based on season of life, seasons of faith, seasons of business, seasons of family, seasons of health, that kind of thing. So don't feel like, well, yours is a lesser than if it matters to you and it's what God is calling you to do in that area, then that's amazing. Let's be consistent. So go ahead and drop 1 or 2 in the chat. Because here's the thing, I'll give you guys a little heads up. If you're with me for CEO Time Warp, we talked about this. Just thinking about it, 10% chance you're actually going to do it. So you're past that, right? Writing it down, 42%. Woohoo! You're like almost to 50% just because you wrote it down. Share it. Now you go up to 76%. Why? Because now you're actually putting it out there, right? And then the best part is when you get accountability around this thing in the 90s. Like, if you want to see change, we can't just think about it. We can't just write it down. We can't just share it. We have to have accountability. Like it's gonna involve all of those, right? And yet there's still a little like sweat equity in there too, obviously. But yeah. A date with each family member once a week. I love it. Reducing debt. Love it. Look for ways to show my awesome husband how much I appreciate him by doing small things. Yeah, things to make it easier for him. I love it. So good. And when we get to the ideal week plan in just a few minutes, I want you to make sure that these top priorities have a place in your weekly plan. Because here's what's going to happen. If they just stay on this page, they're not going to happen. One-on-one time with each kid during the week. I love it. Yeah, so many good things. So many good things. All right, let's turn the page. And we've got 2 really important pages here. We're going to do a high level of this. Some of you are already working with me inside either CEO Focus or CEO Impact, and so we go really deep in this. So for right now, we're just going to stay high level because we could literally spend the next 2 hours just mapping these 2 pages out. But I want to kind of make sure that like you understand what each of these are. You've got a good foundation for it, and then you can go back and continue with that process. And of course, if you want support around it, you're welcome to come in and do that as well. So, okay, when it comes to the 12-week plan, this is, and I just did a live on Facebook this morning and also in our community earlier today. So many people keep circling the same mountain. They keep writing the same thing on their to-do list. They keep, working on the same problem, right? Yes, yes. How many of us can relate to that, right? They're going to go into 2026 and things are going to look the same because they were just in survival mode. They weren't doing, and Narelle, this is why I love that you pointed out the growth goals because that's what this page is about. This page is about the growth, right? Not just maintaining, but like what is something that I'm wanting to actually move, like make measurable progress towards, move the needle on, complete, finish. Okay. So what the purpose of this page is to choose a project, a goal. It could be, like a problem. So for example, I've been working with clients lately who like aren't getting enough clients right now, right? So that's the problem. And so then we're kind of using that as our focus to say, okay, what are we going to do about this, right? What this is picking one thing, not 22 things, because if you chase to even 2 squirrels, you won't catch either one, let alone 22, right? So we're picking one. Now, this also does not mean I don't do anything else in life. Lisa said I can leave everything else in no, I didn't say that. But this is one thing that you are going to have a focused plan to really move the needle on or to complete. How many of you like have a project that you keep putting off? You started it, it's half baked. Somebody just sent me a message today. As you notice, I get lots of messages from people about what they're struggling with because I ask a lot of questions. And so this girl was like, "Yeah, this thing, like I've been kicking this can down the road all year. I'm gonna get this thing done, right? Or I'm going to reach this goal. Like I haven't given it that like real intentional focus consistently, right? So the purpose of this is to give yourself a 12-week timeline on something, which is perfect. This fits in with a 12-week focus cycle. That's why I created it this way, such that you don't feel like, oh, I got all this time, right? Give ourselves 12 months, it'll take 12 months. Okay, so 12 weeks, such that like it gets me moving, but I can, so I have this healthy sense of urgency. I can see the finish line, right? So I can see my progress because when you do a 12-week focus, it's like every week is like a month in the year, right? So what we're going to do right now is we're going to at least work on the top section of this. Okay. So what is your focus going to be? Now, if you have a business, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you have a 12-week plan for something in your business. If you are in business to have a business and not just an expensive hobby, we should always have a growth goal or project that we are working on. In addition to, yes, the daily things that are ongoing. Okay. So I'm going to highly recommend if you have a business that what you do primarily be around that. If you don't have a business, maybe you have a ministry, maybe it's something in your health. And for those of you who have a business, I do allow you to do a personal one and a business one, but no more than two, because otherwise, again, we spread ourselves too thin and nothing happens. So the first thing at the top is my focus, right? What is it that I'm going to focus on? What's my one thing that I'm going to focus on? For me, over the next 3 months, it's going to be a series of master classes. That is my focus. So I want you to write down, what is your focus? Yeah, she'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. Yes, we don't want to keep going around the same mountain. I want the next mountain, right? Here's the thing, and I said this in the podcast this week. Maybe I already said this here. Maybe I said this in the live. I don't know. Um, when you are in business or just in life, you will always have mountains. You will always have problems, right? We get to decide, am I going to be circling the same mountain year after year after year, or am I going to move on to the next one, right? So that's where you get to choose, right? Which mountain, which level problems do I want to have? So, all right, does everyone have a focus? I would love to hear in the chat, what is your focus? This is me, number one, keeping you accountable, but number two, making sure that like you got clarity when you leave here. I don't want you leaving here going, oh yeah, I need to come back and think about that. Now, God could change this. That's why I always have a big pink eraser next to me and my planner at all times because this morning I went in and was changing some things in my 12-week plan. It's okay. It's okay. It's all good, right? Donita, finish your book series. Love it. Tracy, handmade holiday workshops. Ooh, Debbie, systems for work. Yes. Emmy, writing biblical living and stewardship book. Some good things in here. Okay. We're identifying our one thing focus. The second thing in here is the outcome. Where do you want to be by the end of 12 weeks? Now, 12 weeks from now is like right before Christmas. So we're just going to say by the end of the year. Now, chances are you're going to be, maybe kind of shutting down business stuff or whatever, those last couple weeks of the year anyway, or at least it'd be in a different mode. So where do you want to be by the end of the year? Is this a like, I want, like Donita, I want to be done with the book series, like all three books are done or whatever that means for you. Or is it like, I'm going to have the next one done, right? So it could be like a step on the way to something bigger, or it could be like, yeah, no, once I get this thing done, then it's off my plate and I'm done, done, done. Like done, 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 done. How good would that feel? And I keep saying, I need to get to this. I need to get around to this. So I want you to kind of think about what's that finish line going to look like? What is the outcome at the end of the 12 weeks? We're going to start with the end in mind. Does that make sense? Putting together the box set. Ooh, I like it. So, Debbie, I actually talked about your example in the live today. I don't know if you listened to it, but I know you want to get these systems in place. So, a really good outcome to put for that would be having your CEO dashboard set up. Because then we're going to have all the regular ongoing things, in your systems already built out. And then we can start layering in some of the other SOPs, some of the other workflows that you need, later on. But really getting what are those things that are the ongoing things that need to be in here. So I'm not saying that's what you have to do, but that was kind of how I talked through your example on the live. Like make it tangible. Okay, the next one is my why. And I didn't have the term, I wasn't using the term roadie when I did this planner a year ago. It's crazy how like you grow so much in a year. Like, what is the roadie why? The return on time invested why? When I get to the end, when I get to that finish line, why? Why does that even matter? Why does it matter, Donita, that you've got this box set? Why does it matter, Emmy, that you've got this biblical living and stewardship book? Why does it matter that you've got the system built or you've got the workshops, planned? Like, what is it like? What's it all leading to? What's the why? And it could be a tangible why. It could be an intangible why. Yes, my why is to get it done. So I get that darn thing off my plate. It is okay if that is your why. I have a project right now that like I was working on this summer. I intentionally paused it to focus on something else. And now I picked it back up and I'm like, I'm getting this thing done. It is going to be off my plate by the end of this month before I start this next 12-week plan. It will be done. And I don't have to keep thinking about it. So it is okay if that's your why. Now, there is a bigger why behind it, I know, as to what that book's going to do and what my project's going to do. And then the last one, what's your reward? Okay, yes, your why. Okay, yes, Debbie, your why and your reward can seem similar because it's going to free you up. But like I'm talking like a tangible way that you are going to celebrate the fact that you have worked towards this in a way that you never have before. Even if you don't check everything off on your plan, it's okay. Maybe it's, like it could be a tangible thing. I've had my eyes on a cute pair of shoes and gosh darn it, when I finish this, that's my carrot. Maybe I'm taking my family out to dinner. Maybe I'm going to put my feet up and just, have a chill day. Maybe, I mean, like, I don't know. It could be anything. But sometimes it's fun, right? To kind of have something to work towards. And again, you're rewarding yourself for the work well done, not necessarily just that the work got done. So think about what will motivate you. It's going to be different for every single person. Think about your kids. I want to take a trip. Ooh, I like it. Book tour. That's what I'm thinking, Donita. We're coming to your book launch party. Okay, does everyone feel like you have clarity right now? Now, again, there could be 10 different things you could pick from, so we don't want to get stuck in analysis paralysis. We're just going to pick one and just move forward. Because guess what? Otherwise, the time's going to keep going by and it's going to be the end of the year, and then like nothing happened. Okay? So, does everyone feel like you have a clear focus, outcome, why? You may still be thinking about the reward piece of it. That's okay. Because a lot of us haven't thought about things like that in a long time. It's just a fun way that I like to kind of keep us moving forward. Okay, the next step, and you can go into the digital course if you want, or I can help you in CEO Focus, which I'll tell you about in a minute, is to actually create a 12-week roadmap. Because again, it's one thing to say, I'm going to have this done by this date in December, but that doesn't get you there. I don't just say I'm hopping in the car, somebody just said I'm going to Florida, right? Like, okay, like I don't just say I'm going to Florida. Like I bet Debbie, you have a plan, right? You're gonna have a route. You're gonna have stops. You're gonna be packing a bag. You're gonna, like we don't just hop in a car and hope we end up somewhere, but yet we often do that in our business or in our life and then go, oh, I didn't get there. Didn't happen again. So what this process is, you actually are gonna go from the top where we just worked all the way to the bottom. You're gonna brain dump everything you can think of that is related to finishing this, getting to that finish line. Okay, everything you can think of. This may not be enough room. You may need to pull out a notebook. That's okay. Then you're going to organize and categorize and prioritize. And I use that to-do section to kind of put things in an order, and go, what are the priorities here? Because there may be things you think of that really don't matter, or that would be like a next level thing, or that would be like an extra, or, we want to know what comes first, second, third. Then you're going to map out your monthly milestones. Where do I want to be at the end of October? Where do I want to be at the end of November? Where do I want to be at the end of December? Right? We have to break it down into those chunks because even just saying I'm going to launch the book series or I'm going to get the system set up or I'm going to like whatever the thing is, it sometimes still feels really big, right? And so it's really hard to take action towards it because it just feels too big. Okay. And then once you have the monthly milestones, now you move to the weekly targets. And you go, okay, so if this is where I want to be by the end of October, what am I doing week 1 of October, week 2, week 3, and week 4, such that by the end of week 4, I'm there. And then do the same thing for that November milestone and the same thing for December. Here's what I recommend doing and what I did yesterday to prep is I put the dates next to the week numbers so that I could see because I know I've got a trip coming up one week. I know Thanksgiving is coming up. Obviously, Christmas is coming up and things like that. So I want to make sure that like I'm noting those things. So as I'm saying, this is what my target is for the week, I'm keeping those things in mind. Right? So like if you're going to be gone and you aren't going to be doing anything related to this project or this goal or whatever it is that week, then make sure that you note that. It's okay. That's part of your plan. Okay? So that's going to be, an on your own unless you want my support, and I'll tell you how to get that in just a minute. And then the last page on here is our time template. And this is gold, you guys. How many times do you crash land into Monday and pray you make it till Friday and you got something done? Or you're trying to remember. I just talked to somebody earlier today. She's like, yeah, I try to remember the things I have to do. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not great at remembering things. I create systems to help me remember. I create rhythms. I create patterns. So this ideal week, there's a whole training in the front of the planner. Hopefully you've gone through it. If you haven't, it's there. And if you want my help with it, then yes, I'll share with that how that works. But we should have general rhythms to our days and weeks, not a bunch of time blocks that are tightly packed and to-do list focused and are hard to keep up with and don't work anyway. Like, ditch that. Now, here's the thing. Again, here's where I've grown so much in the past year. The way I described it in here is time blocks because that's all I knew at the time. But the more that I really talked with women, the more I really like spent time with the Lord, the more I really thought about how time blocks are not the solution. I started calling them time anchor zones. So anytime you see time blocks printed in here, I'm just going to have to live with it until I need a new printing of these. Just think time anchor zones, right? And I teach this process of you have two refills, your morning refill and your evening refill, and you should have three pour outs. Two of them are focused on household and family. If you are, like for me, that was literally like 15 minutes this morning. It was taking care of the dogs. It was prepping some stuff for dinner. It was making sure that the kitchen was reset with the dishes that were drying overnight. Like it was just a couple quick things. If you've got a bunch of kids, right? Like you may be taking care of kids for a couple hours or homeschooling or something like that. Like, okay. And then again, at the end of the day, when people are coming home from work or school or whatever, like that's probably going to be more family time where you're trying to kind of bring people together. In that in between is where you're working. Now, again, if you've got littles at home, that block may be broken up a little bit more, and that's okay, right? But we're trying to avoid, here's what I don't want you to do. This is the only place in the planner, if you notice, that I actually put times. And the only reason I put times is because I want you to draw some large, spacious blocks. Let me see if I can show you one that you will be able to see. And I work with women very intentionally. I guess I don't have one in this planner. It must be in my other one. But it should be like a nice large block that's for your work block, not a bunch of tiny little, time zones, right? So the first step that you do is you go in and you draw in this next season, because maybe things changed since you did this at the beginning of the planner, right? In this next season, where are my refills? Where is my morning refill? Where's my evening refill? In this next season, where are my AM pour outs when I'm taking care of household and family? Where are my PM pour outs where I'm taking care of household and family? In this season, where is my work time when I'm actually building this business or doing the work that God has called me to? And yes, it's okay, like I said, if it's a little bit broken up. I just don't want I don't want this to be a bunch of little boxes. Then what you do, once you have the time zones blocked off, and I like to use my highlighters so that way I can see color-wise what it's time for. Then what you do is you go in and you put anything that is a regular, reoccurring weekly commitment. So in this next season, are you showing up for Bible study on Wednesday at 7 p.m. every week? Good. Then that should go on there at 7 p.m. Are you, showing up to a meeting? My weekly accountability meetings with my clients are Mondays at 10. So if you're one of my clients or want to be, right, that's going to go on there. So only the things that are like the reoccurring commitments go in there with the time. And if you're noticing, wow, when I put all these in, Lisa, I don't really have any time left, and that doesn't feel good, then you have some CEO decisions to make about saying no to some things or rearranging some things, reprioritizing. Here's where we also put in those oranges, those priorities we just talked about. That thing that you just, the thing that you dropped in the chat that you said, this is one of my top priorities in this next season. Where is that getting time? Is that a daily thing? Is it once a week? Twice a week? Like where, because if we just say I'm going to do this, but we don't actually give it a home, then it's not going to do anything. And Tracy, that is a great question. Um, you can just make a photocopy of this. I do have a template that I can send you. Excuse me. But Tracy has a husband who has a bi-weekly schedule. So I have worked with clients who like, yes, they have like a week A and a week B based on some other factor, right? Whether it's a school schedule or a work schedule or whatever, some kind of commitment schedule or things like that. Yes, that you could have two versions of them and then just have, and then the goal is this, not to let that thing sit there. Once you have it mapped out, you got your time zones first, then you've got your reoccurring commitments. Then you make sure those priorities are going in for your life and business stuff. Right now, when you sit down to do your weekly planning, you're not starting from scratch. I highly recommend put a paperclip on that page so you can easily find it because when you sit down to do your planning for next week, this becomes your template. Probably 90% of week to week is going to look very similar. And if it feels like it's a train wreck every single week, I'm going to challenge you to think about what things are reoccurring or could be reoccurring patterns in your week. So you have a template to start from and you're not going blank slate trying to remember or not a free for all hoping that, everything happens. Yeah, you will in a different place, Emmy. When do you guys move, Emmy?
We'll be moving the week of or like starting October 3rd through that week after that. So in that time
Sure,
period.
sure. So it's because that's coming up so quickly. What I was going to say is if it wasn't till November or December, then make your ideal week based on what you have right now, right? So here's where we're really close. We're within 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
it wouldn't hurt you to make an ideal week for the next 2 weeks if you want to make sure that this time doesn't feel like it's a free for all, right? Or
Yeah.
you can put down what and start thinking towards, and then just commit to, okay, once we get there, then that's that next week, I'm gonna come in and solidify this. So, and again, this is why I do things in pencil because things change, right?
But something I learned too, because I forgot Arizona doesn't change time. We're
When
going to
the
be
time
in
zone happens.
one time zone for a month and then
Sure.
another time zone the rest of our time there. So that's
But really, the
like
time
my
zones
brain
doesn't
is
matter. Like, if you want your kids to go to bed at 7, it doesn't matter if Arizona is on Mountain Time or Pacific Time. I mean, yes, there may be a day or
it's for
two where,
meetings. It's for
oh, okay,
meetings.
got it. Yeah,
Because
yeah,
when I'm trying to do the pour out and I'm like, my brain is not comprehending this right now because
sure.
I'm still getting used to the idea of being in, I mean, well, like for the first month we'll be in Pacific time zone.
Yeah.
So I'm like yeah, and then
So
yeah.
then here's what
So
I would do if I were you. If they're in Pacific time zone when you get there, create an ideal week based on Pacific time zone because that's the
okay.
immediate one you're going to need. And then it shouldn't
Yeah.
be that hard to just like all you're gonna do is shift things an hour when the time changes
Yeah.
happens to everybody else and now you're mountain
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
focus on what the immediate need is now, which would be the Pacific
Okay.
one. Yeah.
Okay. Because yeah, like you said, the stuff at home it doesn't matter. It
Sure, sure.
matters
Yeah, that
for when
makes
I'm
sense. Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But again, you can have everything else all built out, right? And even anticipate if this is a meeting I already have, I know what time it is. This is what it's going to be when I get there in October. And then just make the swap whenever we have time zone changes. I never remember. I always have to get the notifications to remember whenever that is. So, okay, that is our seasonal reset. Hopefully, this has been valuable. You've taken the time to pause. You've taken the time to prioritize. You've taken the time to plan. You still probably have some more to do, and that's okay. That's a good thing. And right now, it may be like, okay, this feels really good to get out of my head. I've cleared some of those negative thoughts. I've got it down on paper. It looks pretty, but I'm going to give you a warning. Are you ready for this? In fact, I'm encourage you, look up at me right now, because as soon as you hop off this call, what is going to happen? Life. Right? Now, that does not mean that we don't do this work and why bother? Okay, no, we're not going there because that doesn't work either. Right? But what's going to happen is there are going to be distractions. There are going to be interruptions, right? A client DM is going to pop up asking for a quick answer. The laundry buzzer is going to go off and suddenly it feels urgent that you go get the laundry right now. Your inbox is going to start, calling your name. The dog is going to be like, my dog, I'm sure, is pawing at the door, right? Before you know it, you're already thinking about dinner and like you're like, where'd the time go? Right? That's why it is so important that we don't just make the plans today. Number one, we hold them loosely, right? Allowing the Lord to use his big pink eraser as much as he wants to. But we actually have to have a plan for how to be accountable to sticking with it because distractions will show up, right? That part is inevitable, but guess what? We have a choice as to how we respond or react. And your consistency and your focus is what's going to create the results. And I talk to so many business owners all day long who are like, Lissa, I don't have enough time. Lissa, I feel behind. Lissa, time gets away. Lissa, I make plans, but then, right? And here's what I have to say. I get it. I've been there too. And here's what I know. Left to ourselves, we are going to get distracted, disorganized, and detoured, right? We are going to start off with good intentions and then get off in the weeds. And then it's going to get to the end of another year and we're just writing down the same goals again January 1st and we start the cycle all over again. We're circling the same mountain. If that happens, then the time we just spent today, whether you're on live or the replay, is not going to produce the roadie that you're praying for. And we're going to end up wasting the next 3 months or best spending time with maybe some return, little return, but not really going anywhere and not really fully present to anything, right? So you've thought about it, right? 10%. You've written it down. So you're ahead of nearly half the people out there. Every single person on here has shared something today. So now you're increasing that up to 76% because you're seeing the value of not keeping it to yourself. But when you get accountability is when it goes up into that 90s, right? And this is why I created something called CEO Focus to help busy, easily distracted women like you and me, because I need this too, to plan it out. We identify, right, those main things that matter. We map it out. We create a plan with stress-free timelines, and we walk it out. We get weekly accountability to actually do the thing, right? This is what is going to keep you from getting distracted because you're going to have a step-by-step plan and a mentor, or from getting disorganized because you're trying to do so many things, right? We're going to focus in on less and have one place to keep it all together and keep you from being detoured, right? Getting off in the weeds or off chasing squirrels or whatever, right? Because you've got a roadie attached to it, right? So, what I am offering up to you guys today is an opportunity to come into CEO Focus. And I'm going to share with you in a minute what the Lord just dropped in my spirit before we got on today. But first, I just want to tell you what it is, right? And then you can decide. What it is a 12-week program, although spoiler alert, I'm going to give you to the end of the year. So that's an extra like 2 or 3 weeks. You're welcome. To come in and create a 12-week focus cycle plan, to be a part of weekly accountability meetings, right? So not only have you broken that big vision or this thing that you started on, like we've broken that bigger thing into small focused actions so we can actually see it happen, right? I have a client that came to me because she's launching a book. And she even came to me saying, Lisa, I have a 12-week plan, but it was really just like a to-do list on, with a week next to it. And it still felt really unclear and really overwhelming and really distracting. So we sat down and like dove in and like mapped it out. And I get messages from her all the time about like, oh my goodness, like it's so relieving that I don't have to be worried about all these moving parts because right now this is what it's time for. And I know exactly what I need to do. Right? So we create a 12-week focus cycle plan for you. Then you get to be part of these weekly accountability meetings. We start your week off with intention and a plan so you stay on track even when you fall off. Right? I'm going to save you time and money. Right? Like I had a client that I met with earlier today that shared that she learned so much just on the weekly accountability meeting because she was showing up, taking responsibility for what she was doing, and she was listening to what other people were working on, and she was getting ideas and inspiration and things like that as well. And then you get access to this private inner circle 24/7. You can ask questions. I will not answer 24/7 because I have boundaries on my time, but Debbie, you're here. You just posted your 12-week plan, right? To get feedback and accountability. And that's right. Like we need a place where we can get our questions answered and we can be like, okay, but this just came up. Okay, now how do I manage it with this? Because things are going to happen. Right. So those are the main things that you get. This my method and a special like templates and things like that to create your 12-week plan, the weekly accountability meetings, and the private inner circle access. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a link in here. Oops, hold on a second. If you're like, yep, that's just what I need, redeemhertime.com/focus. But here's the thing. You also get to be part of our monthly collaboration and networking events. Learning to collaborate and leverage other people's audiences is a time scaling skill. So you will get to be part of these exclusive events with other CEOs where you're not just getting pitched, such as everybody's saying, buy my stuff, or let's hop on a coffee chat and so I can sell you my stuff. That is a waste of my time. Sorry, not sorry, right? We're going to learn how to come together and how to leverage collaboration to scale your time and connect with no pitch conversations, or you're actually leaving with opportunities to grow your reach. Like, how much would that be worth to you? People pay hundreds of dollars to be part of networks and things like that that don't get them anywhere. And I'm going to invite you, if you want, this is all optional, to join us for the CEO Edge Book Club because it's the mindset piece that makes just as much of a difference, if not more, like we saw with the steer belief map, than the tools. And we are actually reading a book in this next quarter. This is the book that literally shifted everything for me, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. Like it really got to the heart level of my time problems and how I was approaching it. So imagine like being in the room with other people who are also working on growing themselves, and then we directly can take this stuff and go apply it to our business. It's going to spark breakthroughs and belief shifts and business results that like we can act on right away. Right? So those are just some extra little bonuses and stuff like that that I threw in there. Okay? But here's the thing. As I was thinking and praying about this last night and this morning, there are a couple of different things that I thought that like the Lord has dropped in my spirit. So I have a couple little limited time things that if you're like, okay, I need this. If you join us by midnight tonight, you get all that stuff. Plus you get me on Voxer for the next 12 weeks. That's like having me in your back pocket for when life happens or plans change. People pay me like $9.97 to get Voxer access, right? I'm throwing that in as a free bonus. So if you're like, oh, I would love that. Like, again, I'm not going to answer like in real time every single time you message, but you will hear back from me in a very timely way. Okay. So if that is something that you're like, oh wow, that would be amazing, then make sure that you join us by tonight. And here's the last thing. I've had people come into this program at various levels, and I decided that because you guys already have planners, I want this to be like a natural extension of what you have already started. I don't want you to do this and then get off in the weeds by yourself. So, although other people have paid $7.97 and $4.97 for the exact same thing, as a planner girl, you can do it for $2.97. Or if you want to break it down into monthly payments, it would be $97 a month. Okay? So, that is my gift to you as a planner girl. And you can use this next 12 weeks for anything you want. I actually have somebody who just joined CEO Focus who's going to do it because she has a house renovation project. She has a business, she has a job, but she has this house renovation project that has literally been pushed off for way too long. And she's like, Lisa, I have to get this done. Okay, guess what? That's going to clear up a lot of clutter, physical clutter, right? Mental clutter, right? So we built out a 12-week plan for that. I have somebody else that I met with yesterday who's building out her visibility strategy to bring in her leads. I have somebody else who invested in a multi-thousand-dollar program, and the window of support that she gets from that coach is closing. And so she wanted me to help her create a plan to get everything out of the investment that she made so she doesn't lose it. Right. And here's how now you'll always get the most out of any investment you make in your business because you know how to map it out. I have another girl, like I said, launching a book, right? The one who came to me with a 12-week plan, but she felt really overwhelmed by all the moving parts and didn't know where to start. I literally just got this message from her. I'm going to see, I want you to hear what the difference that this makes. All right. She said, I think I screenshotted it. Thank you for walking through these projects. She had just kind of talked through some things with encouragement and gentle instruction. It helped me to take a deep breath and to remember it's not time for every one of these things this week. Having a kingdom mindset that you teach and an intention to walk in God's peace and fruit has been amazing. I can't tell you how many times I've said and prayed, I'm not in charge, I'm just the steward, right? Like she's still launching the book. She still has all the same things to do, but because she has this plan and support, right? Like she's not feeling overwhelmed and it's going to happen in the time that it needs to. So really, here's my invitation or whatever question to you is like, what would you really want to move the needle on or cross the finish line on before the end of the year? And I want you to think about like, what opportunities would that open up for you in your business to either create revenue or save you time and money? Like, here's where, yeah, I'm not in charge, I'm just a steward. Yes, right? That's what that Kingdom Stewardship book was that we read. Like, how would it feel to walk into the holidays in a new year with that goal accomplished or that project finished or that problem solved and build momentum to next level goals, projects, problems, right? Like, that's what we're doing inside CEO Focus because it takes focus, it takes consistency, it takes having a plan, it takes having support. That's how it's going to happen, and you're not circling the same mountain all the time. So, is this for you? Maybe. But maybe you're thinking like, oh, I'll just do what I can on my own. To which I just want to ask you, how's that working for you? Like even if you do make some things happen, like how could maybe your growth be accelerated when you have focus and support? Like I'm always looking to do what's going to propel me forward, right, in less time and move to next level problems, even though I have systems and, strategies in place. Or you might be like, I'll just wait till next year. The holidays are coming anyway. And you can do that, but what are you planning to do with the time that's in front of you now? Like here's where stewardship comes in, right, Melanie? Like, yeah, stewardship means I have this like responsibility to do something with what's been entrusted to me. Or maybe you're asking like, is the investment really worth it? Like, well, what would it be worth to finally see measurable growth? And if you're in business, what revenue would that bring in? If you're focused on your health, what would that cost you in time and money to stay where you are? Like we have to look ahead at those things. And yes, you can do this with all that's on your plate and the holidays because this isn't something extra. It's what actually allows you to do what you already need and want to do. To not be saying, I'll have time after the holidays or after this happens, right? Because there's always going to be something, right? So, anyway, if you want to join us and you jump in by tonight, then you get me on Voxer for the rest of the year, right? And you guys get to come in at this like crazy, I can't believe that I just made the price for you guys 297, but I was like, okay, you know what? I don't want that to be what keeps anybody out. Because this is the time of year when people either say they're going to do something and then they just kick the can down the road to the end of the year, or they make excuses about why they can't and they just wait till the first of the year, right? But when things really matter, we make time for it. The payment options, Tracy, thank you for asking. When you go to the checkout, and there are payment options at checkout. So if you go in there, it allows you to either make a one-time payment or you can click on one of the payment options. So that's where they show up. Yeah. Yeah. So here's my question for you. Like, what are you going to do with the next 12 weeks? What are you going to do with what we just did, what we just mapped out, what you just said mattered, right? And what if you actually could move the needle on some of these things that you've just taken the time to map out in your planner? So I will send out the replay. I will send out more details for those of you who want to look through, more details and stuff like that before you make a decision. Or you're welcome to go to that link that I dropped in the chat, redeemhertime.com/focus. But I would love to hear. Donita, did you go to the checkout? And you're not seeing the, okay, let me see if I can get there and share so that you guys can see it. Okay, hang on. Let me should we find a share button somewhere? Share. Choose the window. Okay. So if you click on any of the Join CEO Focus buttons, it should take you to the checkout page. And you can either put your card in or these are the payment options, Klarna or Afterpay. And so if you click on this, it tells you that you can make it, you can spread out over 12 months if you need to. I wouldn't recommend that, but you can. So you can choose either one of these, and it's just a simple, it just all it does is break it down. It doesn't charge you any extra, you don't pay like any fees or anything like that. You just click on there. So like you could break it down to 4 payments with this one. With Klarna, you have choices. With Afterpay, you don't. Is that helpful? So that's where that is. It's when you get to the checkout page, which one you choose, when you choose these down here. Okay, I would love to hear, number one, how has today been helpful? How has what we did in your planner been helpful for you? And then number two, you don't have to use Klarna. You can use Klarna or Afterpay, or you can just do one payment. Either, those are the three options. Or what questions do you have about moving forward and how CEO Focus can help you do the things that we just mapped out in your planner? It feels helpful to just have a plan. Yes, Tracy. Like it eliminates like the decision fatigue, honestly. How many of us suffer with decision fatigue, right? I'm always making decisions and I'm always trying to remember things and I'm always trying to hold it. And then again, like I'm seeing the whole big elephant instead of one bite at a time. So yeah, this process, hopefully, as we went through it, you're like seeing, okay, this is how I'm able to manage life stuff and business or ministry stuff when I've got a plan. Oh, thank you, Debbie. Debbie says the support and accountability, as well as Lissa seeing things outside of our vantage point, is priceless. I make it a point, and anyone who works with me can vouch to this, that I know things about you, and I'm reaching out to you, and I'm praying for you. And when I have an idea for you, or when you were asking a question or whatever, like you're hearing from me, even at a price point like this, you will hear from me. This is not a, oh, I got in and now I'm just kind of like all swimming out here on my own. Like my goal is for the next 12 weeks to be the most incredible quarter you've ever had. Not just because of a tangible outcome, which feels really good. That is just the measurable fruit of the difference you're making, of the faithfulness that you are, displaying to what it is that God has called you to steward. So that's my goal. Like I just get excited when you're like, you tell me like this is what God has called me to do in my business or in my life or whatever. I'm like, all right, then let's use time as the vehicle, as the accelerant, as like the here's how we're getting there. The queen of constant reach outs. Yes, I do. I don't let people drop off the map. Even if you've worked with me in the past and then, like you're like, I don't need you right now, Lissa, that's okay. You're still gonna hear from me. You can always ignore me if you want to. Yeah, good. I'm glad that you got some value. And yes, pray through it. If you have other questions, reach out to me. I will be sending the replay. If you want to talk more specifically about here's what I think I want to focus on for the next 12 weeks, how would it work for me? Like the girl who was doing the renovation project, she was like, Lissa, like right now, this is what has to get done. I have to move the needle on this because it's costing a lot of other things in my life. And so we talked through how this could help her. So if you've got a situation you're like, hey, I'm not really sure, like would it work for this? Could you help me with this? Yeah. I mean, time is what comes down to everything. So this is how we're gonna, yeah, really move the needle. So all right. Well, thanks to everyone who is here live. Congratulations to those of you who were on replay and made it all the way to the end, because most people don't listen all the way to replays, but you got some juicy stuff all the way through. And yeah, I now we're going to live this out. And I would love to be able to support you if that's the choice that you make. So, all right, I will have this out to you guys in a little bit via email. You can reach out to me any way you want and get my attention. And I can't wait to see you guys inside CEO Focus. Take care.